Alright, let's talk about oil consumption on an S2K. So mine is an L4, it's an AP2 obviously. I know there are a lot of problems with AP1 guys burning a lot of oil, and it's recommended that you check the oil level about every gas fill up. So every 200, 250 miles. So let's see how mine is doing. I had just fresh oil a couple of weeks ago. I went on a drive with several different groups. We did about 500 miles in a weekend. The miles were pretty hard where my oil level is at. So the way that I normally do it is I pull out the dipstick, I actually wipe it off, and then I put it back in just to get a cleaner reading. So I use paper towel obviously and gloves. Anytime I work on cars I wear gloves. I don't want to deal with grease on my hands. I have a baby, picking up the baby, dealing with the food. So let's see what this level is going to turn out to be. You try not to touch the sides as you're pulling it out, but you can never really do that. So there are 5 diamonds between the high and the low mark on the dipstick. I believe it is 1 quart between the high and the low. So each diamond is about 1/5 of a quart then. So mine, the way it sits right now, is about 1.5 X's below the high mark. Probably cannot see it on the camera. It's really hard to focus. So it's not too bad, but it does look like it burned some oil. So the only reason I wanted to kind of look at this is, my hypothesis was that low mileage AP1 or 2 should not really burn that much oil. So my hypothesis, I guess, was proven wrong, because mine only has about 24,000 miles on it. One thing I want to note obviously on the dipstick is the oil pan. In case you've never looked at an oil pan, the oil pan is probably about 1 foot deep. Can't see my hands. The oil pan is about 1 foot deep, so there's 5 quarts of oil in there obviously, right? So the dipstick only measures about this much of it. So obviously if this is measuring low, it doesn't mean that you have 0 oil in there. However, you obviously want to have it topped off to the high mark. The reason for that is, as you're driving, the oil pump is mechanically driven, so it's going to push the oil up into the cylinder head, the valve train, all around the engine, kind of lubricate and cool it down. So at some point there is actually a low amount of oil in the oil pan itself for the sump to pick up, because again it's circulating all throughout. So it is good to do an oil level test on a cold engine or a warm engine. Just let it sit for 15-20 minutes, let all the oil basically drain down back into the oil pan, just so you can get a more accurate reading. So cleaning off the dipstick, just put it back in there. VTEC itself doesn't burn oil, right? It's basically due to higher loads on the engine, because it kind of kicks over to a higher duration, higher lift cam profile. You'd like to stay up in the rev range, enjoy the VTEC. So there's a higher load on the engine, higher revs, so there's a little bit of blow-by that actually causes the oil to be burned. So not a big deal, but again, it is something that you need to keep an eye on. I was hoping, again, a low mileage car would not really have this quote-unquote issue, but it does. So there goes to show you.